Okay, so you keep hearing about this so-called fountain of youth drug, rapamycin, right? It's everywhere these days.
It really is.
And I know you're curious about it. We're going to dig into it today.
Let's do it.
We got a ton of research articles here, all about rapamycin.
Yeah.
And we're going to see if it lives up to the hype. What's the real deal with this anti-aging stuff?
Well, one of the most fascinating things about rapamycin is that unlike a lot of these, trendy compounds you hear about, it's not something brand new cooked up in a lab.
Okay, interesting.
It actually has this really cool origin story going back decades to 1964.
Oh, wow. Back in the 60s. All right, now you've got to tell me more.
Picture this. A scientific expedition way out on Easter Island.
Easter Island, really?
Yep. And they're digging through the soil, looking for new medicines.
Huh.
And that's where they stumbled upon this bacteria producing a compound they'd never seen before. Rapamycin.
So wait a minute. This potential fountain of youth drug was literally found in the dirt on Easter Island. That's amazing.
It is a pretty incredible origin story.
But what were they even looking for out there in the first place?
The funny thing is they weren't looking for an anti-aging compound at all.
Really?
Nope. Their main focus was on finding new antifungal agents.
Huh.
And at first, that's exactly what they thought they had with rapamycin.
So how did we go from antifungal to anti-aging wonder drug?
Well, as scientists kept studying rapamycin, they found it had another powerful effect.
Yeah.
It could suppress the immune system. This became hugely important for preventing organ rejection in transplant patients.
Oh, right. I remember hearing about that.
It was really a game changer.
So it was used for that for years.
For decades. And it was only later that researchers started to realize it might have potential for slowing down aging, too.
That's so wild. Okay, so we've got this compound from a remote island. It's been around for ages. It fights fungus, helps with transplants, and now maybe it fights aging, too.
Right. And the key to understanding how it might do that lies in how it affects this thing called the mTOR pathway.
mTOR. I've heard of that.
Yes, it stands for a mechanistic target of rapamycin. So that tells you something right there.
Ah, yeah, it's all connected.
It's this complex signaling pathway that basically controls a whole bunch of stuff in our cells.
Like what?
Growth, metabolism, even lifespan.
Okay, so rapamycin affects that. But how? Like, what does it actually do?
Think of the mTOR pathway as the gas pedal for your cells.
Okay, the gas pedal.
It tells them to grow and be active. Now, what rapamycin does is it acts like the brakes.
The brakes.
Yep, it kind of slows those processes down a little.
Interesting. So by slowing things down at a cellular level, that somehow helps us age more slowly.
That's the idea. See, as we get older, our cells kind of accumulate damage, wear and tear,
Like anything else, I guess.
Exactly. It's like a house that needs repairs as it gets older.
Right, right.
And what rapamycin seems to do is help shift the cell's focus.
Away from the damage.
Well, not just away from it, but towards repair and maintenance.
Oh, I see.
It helps the cell clean out the clutter, so to speak, and fix things up.
I love that analogy, like a cellular spring cleaning.
Exactly. It's called autophagy.
Autophagy, right.
And by enhancing this process, rapamycin encourages the cells to prioritize repair over just growing and dividing all the time.
And that's a good thing.
It seems to be. This shift towards repair appears to be key to extending lifespan and overall health.
That makes sense. But wait, didn't you also say that rapamycin suppresses the immune system? Wouldn't that be bad for our health overall?
You're right to bring that up.
Yeah, that seems kind of contradictory, right?
It's a really important point, and it shows you how complex rapamycin's effects can be.
Okay.
So while it's true it can suppress the immune system, especially at those higher doses they use for transplants, research is showing it can also kind of balance things out,
Balance things out how?
Well, studies have actually found that rapamycin can improve immune function in older individuals.
Really? Wow. Okay, so it's more complicated than just boost or suppress.
Exactly. It's about nuance.
It sounds like there's a lot more to this compound than meets the eye.
Yeah.
So what else have researchers found? Besides maybe helping us live longer,
Oh, there's a lot more. One area that's really exciting is the research on cardiovascular health.
Heart health.
Yep. Early studies suggest it might help reduce the risk of heart disease.
Wow, that's huge.
And if you remember where we were talking about how rapamycin slows down that cell growth.
Yeah, the mTOR pathway and all that.
Well, that's relevant here too, because uncontrolled cell growth is a hallmark of a lot of diseases, including cancer.
Ah, I see. So by affecting that process, it could be beneficial on multiple fronts.
Exactly. It's like hitting multiple targets with one compound.
Pretty amazing. What about the research on the immune system specifically? Any other interesting findings there?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Researchers at Drexel University did this really interesting study on skin aging.
Skin aging?
Yeah, and get this. They applied rapamycin topically, like in a cream.
A cream?
Yep. And it actually reduced wrinkles and age spots.
No way. So
Yeah.
you're telling me a rapamycin cream made people look younger? That's incredible.
It is pretty remarkable.
That opens up a whole world of possibilities, doesn't it?
It does. Imagine being able to target specific areas of the body with rapamycin, maybe avoiding those potential whole body side effects.
That's amazing. And this is all still just the tip of the iceberg, it sounds like. What other research is out there?
Oh, there's so much. They're even looking into its potential to protect against neurodegenerative diseases.
Like Alzheimer's and stuff?
Exactly. Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, those kinds of things.
Okay, so we've got heart benefits, immune benefits, skin benefits, and maybe brain benefits. This is getting hard to keep track of.
It is a lot, and it's super exciting. But I do have to give the disclaimer here.
Oh, yeah, of course. What's the catch?
While all this potential is amazing, rapamycin isn't a magic bullet, right?
Right.
They're still studying its long-term effects, and there are definitely risks to consider.
Yeah, it can't all be good news.
Exactly. One of the most important things to understand is that rapamycin is a powerful drug. It's not something to mess around with without medical supervision.
That makes sense.
And its effects on the immune system, as we talked about, they can be really complex, so you don't want to be messing with that on your own.
No, definitely not.
And there's also a lot of research going on about this kind of paradoxical effect it has when it comes to cancer.
Paradoxical effect. What does that mean?
It's kind of a double-edged sword, you know?
Oh, okay.
Like in some cases, rapamycin seems to actually boost anti-cancer immunity.
Which would be great.
Right. But then in other cases, it might actually increase the risk of some cancers.
Oh, wow. That's a pretty big deal.
It is. And that's exactly why all this research is so important.
Yeah, got to figure that out.
We need to really understand the benefits and risks before rapamycin can be, widely used as an anti-aging treatment.
Absolutely. Seems like we're still in the early stages of figuring out how this whole thing works.
Yeah, we're just scratching the surface, really. But that's what makes it so exciting, right?
It is exciting.
Yeah.
So what kind of research is going on right now? What are the scientists working on?
Oh, there are so many cool directions they're exploring. One area I'm really interested in is what they're calling brief exposure studies.
Brief exposure, what's that?
So they're looking into whether short-term rapamycin treatment, like maybe just for a little while in early adulthood,
Okay.
could actually offer long-lasting benefits while minimizing those risks of taking it long-term.
Wow, so like a rapamycin booster shot when you're young.
Right.
And that sets you up for a healthier life later on. Sounds pretty sci-fi.
It does, right. But the early studies in animals, like fruit flies and mice, suggest it might actually work.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and just imagine if we could figure out how to do that in humans, reap the benefits without those potential downsides of being on it forever,
That'd be amazing. Any other exciting avenues you're following?
Oh, tons. Remember that study we talked about with the topical rapamycin for skin aging?
Yeah, the cream. Right.
That's just one example of how they're looking into targeted applications.
Interesting.
So instead of taking a pill that affects your whole body, you might see rapamycin creams, patches, maybe even injections for specific things.
Oh, wow. So targeted treatment directly where it's needed.
Exactly. It's super exciting stuff.
Wow, we've covered so much ground already, from Easter Island to, the inner workings of our cells.
It has been quite a journey. And we're just getting started, really.
I know. I can't believe how much there is to learn about this one little compound.
It just goes to show you how much there still is to discover out there in the world of science and medicine,
Absolutely. Well, before we get too lost in all the possibilities,
Yeah, good idea.
let's take a step back and just recap what we've learned so far.
Sounds good. It's easy to get ahead of ourselves with all the excitement, but it's important to stay grounded, right?
Totally. Okay, so starting from the top, rapamycin. It's a compound they discovered in the soil on Easter Island.
Way back in the 60s.
Right. It was first studied as an antifungal, then it was used to prevent organ rejection, and now it's this potential anti-aging superstar.
And we've learned that it works by targeting that mTOR pathway, which is like the control center for a lot of things in our cells.
Cell growth, metabolism, the whole 9 yards.
Yep. And by slowing some of those processes down, it seems to be able to boost longevity and overall health.
But of course, it's not as simple as just flipping a switch.
Oh, absolutely not.
It has all these complex effects, especially on the immune system, and there are definitely risks involved, especially with cancer.
Definitely. And that's why I keep saying it's not a miracle cure or anything. It's a complex and powerful drug, and it needs to be treated with respect.
Right. You need medical supervision. You need to be careful.
Exactly. Ongoing research is essential to really understand how to use it safely and effectively.
But even with all that said, I mean, you can't deny how fascinating it is. The potential benefits are just incredible.
They really are. We're talking about potential improvements to heart health, immune function, skin health, maybe even brain health.
It's mind-blowing.
And the research is only going to keep expanding, exploring all these new possibilities like those brief exposure studies, targeted applications, and its role in those neurodegenerative diseases.
It's clear that rapamycin is really shaking things up in the world of anti-aging research.
Big time. And it makes you think, about what the future holds.
Yeah, like what's next? What else is out there?
Right. The future of aging is full of possibilities, and rapamycin is just one piece of the puzzle.
Exactly.
It's really amazing,
What is?
how this one compound discovered on a tiny island way out in the Pacific.
Yeah, Easter Island's crazy, right?
Totally. Has become this huge focus in the whole anti-aging world.
I know. It's like, who would have thought digging in the dirt would lead to this?
It really shows you how important it is to support scientific research.
Totally agree. Like, who knows what else is out there waiting to be discovered?
Right. And it's not even just about the discovery itself. It's how all these different fields of science come together.
I was thinking about that, too, when we were prepping for this.
Like you've got mycology, immunology, and now gerontology, all connected by rapamycin.
It really shows how interconnected everything is,
Absolutely. And that's what makes it so fascinating to study.
One thing that really stuck with me from all the research we looked at was this whole connection between rapamycin and cancer.
Oh, yeah, definitely a big one.
It seems kind of paradoxical,
In what way?
Like, on one hand, they're studying it for its anti-cancer properties.
Right.
But then on the other hand, there's this worry that it might actually increase the risk of some cancers.
Yeah, that's a really important point.
So how do we make sense of that?
Well, it all comes back to that MPO pathway we were talking about earlier, remember?
Okay, yeah, the one that controls cell growth and all that.
Exactly. And that plays a big role in cancer development because cancer is basically uncontrolled cell growth.
Right.
So the thinking is, if you can inhibit mTOR,
like rapamycin does.
right, then theoretically you could slow down or even prevent the growth of cancer cells.
That makes sense. So then why the worry about it increasing cancer risk?
Well, it's not quite as simple as that, unfortunately. It seems like the effect of rapamycin on cancer risk can actually vary.
Vary how?
Well, it can depend on a lot of things, like the type of cancer, a person's genes, even the timing and dose of rapamycin.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing?
Definitely not, which is why the research is so important. We need to figure out all these details.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot more to uncover.
Oh, yeah, tons. But just imagine if we could figure out how to use it in a way that maximizes those anti-cancer benefits.
And minimizes the risks.
Exactly. That would be a huge breakthrough.
It really would. And it's pretty amazing to think that this compound, found on a random island, could play a role in the future of cancer treatment.
It's a great example of how sometimes the most unexpected discoveries can lead to the biggest advances.
It makes you wonder what else is out there just waiting to be found.
Yeah, who knows what the future holds.
Okay, so we've talked about cancer, but there's another big concern that keeps coming up with rapamycin.
What's that?
Its effect on the immune system.
Ah, yes, that's definitely a crucial one.
I mean, we know it can be beneficial in some ways, right?
It can, like improving immune function in older adults, for example.
Right, but then it can also suppress the immune system, especially at those higher doses they use for organ transplants.
You're exactly right. It's a delicate balance.
So how do scientists even approach this? Like, how do you maximize the good without causing harm?
It's all about finding the right strategies,
What kind of strategies?
Well, things like adjusting the dose or when you give the treatment. Right. Even combining rapamycin with other therapies to try and counteract any negative effects on the immune system.
So it's a very personalized approach then?
Absolutely. There's no one-size-fits-all solution. Everyone's different.
Right. That makes sense.
It's all about tailoring the treatment to the individual and being really careful with monitoring.
This brings me back to something you mentioned earlier, those brief exposure studies.
Why do you remember that?
Yeah, I thought it was a really interesting idea.
Me too. Could be a game changer, honestly.
So just to remind me, what was the idea again?
It's basically looking at whether short-term use of rapamycin, maybe early in life,
Okay.
could be enough to get those long-term benefits without the risks of using it for years and years.
So like a rapamycin booster shot when you're younger? I love that analogy.
It's a good one,
Yeah.
right. And there's actually some pretty compelling evidence for it so far.
Oh, really? From where?
Well, they've done studies in animals like fruit flies and mice, and the results are pretty amazing.
Like what kind of results?
They've found that even a short burst of rapamycin early in life can lead to significant improvements in both lifespan and health span.
That's wild. But how does that even work? Like what's going on in the cells to make that happen?
It's still being studied, but the thinking is that even that brief exposure might be enough to trigger some kind of lasting change.
Oh, lasting change.
Yeah, like maybe it resets the mTOR pathway in a way that promotes a more youthful state even after you stop the treatment.
Looks like it gives the cells a memory of being young or something.
Exactly. And if we can figure out how to translate this to humans, the implications could be huge.
I can imagine. A short course of treatment in your 20s or 30s that sets you up for a healthier, longer life.
It's a really exciting possibility.
But we're still a ways off from that, right? Still early days in the research.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But the early findings are definitely promising, and they give us a lot to be hopeful about.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've talked cancer, we've talked immune system. What else was there?
Oh, we can't forget about that Drexel University study on skin aging.
Oh, yeah, the one with the topical rapamycin cream.
That one. The results were pretty remarkable, remember?
I do. It's crazy to think that a simple cream could have that kind of effect.
I know, right? It's a really elegant solution.
It opens up a whole new way of thinking about how we use rapamycin, you know?
Exactly. Targeted therapies delivered right where they're needed.
So instead of a pill that affects the whole body, we could have creams, patches, maybe even injections.
Precisely. And it's all thanks to that initial discovery all those years ago on Easter Island.
It's really come full circle, hasn't it?
It has, and it shows you the power of scientific curiosity and perseverance.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this part of our deep dive.
We have. This rapamycin is full of surprises.
It really is. So before we move on, let's take a minute to just sum up what we've learned.
Good idea. Let's recap.
Okay, so we started by talking about the complex relationship between rapamycin and cancer. How it can both be helpful and potentially harmful.
A real double-edged sword.
Exactly, and that's why the research is so important, to figure out all those nuances.
We also talked about the challenge of finding that balance, maximizing the benefits of rapamycin while minimizing the risks, especially to the immune system.
Right, it's all about finding the right strategies, the right dose, the right timing, all of that.
And then we got into those fascinating brief exposure studies.
Oh yeah, the rapamycin booster shot idea.
Which could be a game changer if it pans out.
And of course, we can't forget about the amazing potential of topical rapamycin for targeted treatment.
Like that skin aging study, so cool.
It's clear that there's still so much to learn about rapamycin.
Absolutely. We're just at the beginning of this journey of discovery.
It's an exciting time to be following this research, that's for sure.
It really is. Who knows what the future holds?
I can't wait to find out. Well, on that note, I think it's time to move on to the final part of our deep dive.
Sounds good to me.
So stick around, everyone. We got a lot more to discuss. You know, as we're wrapping up this deep dive into rapamycin, one thing that really sticks with me is just how many potential benefits we've talked about.
I know, right? It's kind of mind-boggling.
It is. We've covered lifespan, heart health, cancer, even neurodegenerative diseases. There's a lot to take in.
It really is. And I think what makes it so amazing is we're not just talking about, you know, small improvements here and there.
Wait, it's not just tweaking things a little.
Exactly. It's about potentially changing the whole way we think about aging.
Yeah, it's not just about living longer. It's about living better for longer.
Exactly. Extending that period of life where we're really thriving, our health span.
Right. And it seems like rapamycin could be a real game changer for that.
It really could be. It's targeting those core processes that drive aging.
So it makes sense that it could have such a broad impact on all these different age-related conditions.
Makes sense to me.
But, you know, with all this amazing potential comes responsibility, right?
Oh, for sure.
We've touched on some ethical considerations, but I think it's worth talking about a bit more.
Yeah, definitely. Especially as these technologies get closer to actually being used.
Exactly. It's not just a theoretical discussion anymore.
Right. We can't just focus on the science without thinking about what it means for society, you know?
Absolutely. Like, if we can significantly extend lifespan, how does that affect our healthcare system, our social structures? What even is old age anymore?
Yeah, right. Big questions, for sure.
And there are no easy answers. But it's something we need to be thinking about now.
Absolutely, before it's too late.
Exactly. And we need to think about things like access and equity.
Oh, definitely.
Will these advancements be available to everyone? Or will they just make the gap between the haves and have-nots even bigger?
That's a crucial point. We have to make sure that these technologies are used fairly and justly for everyone.
Absolutely. And it's not just about access either.
What else?
There's also the question of individual choice.
Okay, yeah.
If we can live much longer, will people feel pressured to? What if there are side effects we haven't discovered yet?
That's the thing with any new technology. There's always some uncertainty.
Exactly. And with something as fundamental as aging, we need to be extra careful.
Totally agree. We need more research, not just on the science, but on the ethics, the social implications, the psychology of it all.
Right. We need a whole system approach.
Exactly. We can't just focus on living longer without thinking about the quality of those extra years.
It's not just quantity, it's quality.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And maybe rapamycin, with its ability to target those underlying aging processes, can help us achieve both. But as you've said throughout this deep dive, it's not a magic solution.
Oh, definitely not a magic solution.
There's still a lot to learn, and we need to be cautious and keep researching.
Couldn't agree more. We've made amazing progress in understanding aging, but we're just scratching the surface, really.
And rapamycin is just one piece of the puzzle.
One very fascinating piece.
It is. But it's a powerful tool, and we need to use it wisely.
Absolutely, with a clear understanding of both the benefits and the risks.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, I think that's a great place to leave it for today.
Sounds good to me.
As we wrap up our deep dive into rapamycin, I think the main takeaway is that this is an ongoing journey.
It really is.
There will always be new discoveries, new challenges, and new ethical questions to grapple with.
And that's what makes it so exciting. We're really at the forefront of something amazing here.
We are. So to all our listeners out there, we encourage you to stay curious, stay informed, and keep learning.
Keep asking those tough questions.
Exactly. The future of aging is being shaped right now, and we all have a part to play.
I love that. We're all in this together.
We are. So thank you for joining us on this incredible journey into the world of rapamycin.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll be back soon with more deep dives into the fascinating world of science and technology.
Can't wait to see what we explore next.
Me neither. Until then, stay curious, everyone.